last piece of music was sung at my church, Church of the Redeemer. The congregation is singing the text of Psalm 46 from the New King James Bible, set to a tone by James Hart, who is at the Weber Institute of Worship Studies. And I thought we'd talk a little bit today on this episode of the Friday Five about that way of singing the Psalms known as chanting. Hello, I'm Jared Ritchie, and it's Friday, March the 21st, and you're listening to the Friday Five series from Musically Speaking. It's interesting to me when you think about this idea of singing God's words back. The original hymn book of the Bible is called the Psalter, or the Psalms. And Christian music and church music can take many forms, but in our circles, there seems to be a revival of singing the Psalms in ways that let the text drive rather than contort, as I mentioned, the text maybe in a rhyme scheme to fit a metered tune, such as a hymn tune, etc. This tune that we are hearing is I think a very accessible tune for your congregation or your family to sing. It's Psalm 46. It's really enjoyable. It's very modern. There's not a lot of movement. Some of the hard parts about chanting are that it requires a reciting tone, and there's movement here and inflection there, and historically the Christian church has chanted, but often it's been the choir or a cantor or a combination thereof, or the congregation has sung the tones in a responsive way. But this particular Psalm 46 tone by James Hart seems to be very accessible, and it's really a nice way if you want to get to singing the Psalms in the way that you might read them. So if you can sing this Psalm 46, this is going to be very familiar to the way you read it rather than putting it in some sort of metered prose that often happens. Let's listen to a little bit more of Psalm 46 by James Hart here on this tone that we started today's episode with. This tone and this text is very enjoyable to sing, and our church sings psalm tones like this weekly. The congregation sings, I cantor or kind of lead that, just to kind of help us have the muscles and the practice and the habit, because the average person in the pew is not trained in music, and they may not have all of the ins and outs of how to do these things. But if you notice, there's just really one change. God is our refuge and strength. Da-da-da-da-da-dum. Da-dum, da-dum. So it's very simple, but at least intones or makes the text glorified speech. So I'll put in the description to this episode a link to the PDF and the recording so you can hear it all there, and maybe give it a try at your house or in your sphere of influence. Well, that's going to have to do it for this episode of the Friday Five. I appreciate you listening. We'll see you next week.